I don't think it's quite fair or quite fun to say that we're in the dog days of the NFL season. For the Chiefs, that's a luxury that I guess we could claim because they've already clinched a playoff spot and then the AFC West. And the 1 seed is looking pretty good right now with 4 regular season games to go. But something has felt just a little bit off this week. And I think it happened a little bit last week, and I am 100% sure it's going to continue through 3 games in 10 days running up through Christmas. We're not in the dog days of this Chiefs season, but we are in the fog days because they are not going to let us know anything 1 minute in advance.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
Who's starting at left tackle? I don't know. When's Hollywood Brown coming back? I don't know. Is Andy Reid going to keep his regular media schedules? I probably. Why would I know that for sure? There's nothing certain at this point in the NFL season other than, I guess, the fact that the Chiefs are going to the playoffs and are champions of the AFC West. That's a good place to be. There's a lot more to sort through ahead of this game against the feisty Cleveland Browns and the terrifying Myles Garrett coming up on Sunday. Only Weird Games, Joshua Brisco, Seth Keysor, Nate Taylor. We're all here. We all know, I just give it a little bit of a pre-show prep from Nate. We all know almost exactly as much as you do about who's playing left tackle on Sunday. And again, I've mentioned Myles Garrett's name once. I've said it again. Myles Garrett. There you go. Beetlejuice rules. He will be there on Sunday, and we should all be worried about that. How you guys doing?
I'm doing just fine. It's not unusual around this time of the year, especially with a 3 games in 11-day stretch starting on Sunday, for the team not to push it too hard in practice. So no pads. You're getting a little bit of a little more elevation than a walkthrough, but not that far off from a walkthrough. And get out. We have been politely told as a collective group of reporters, journalists, get out. Get out. Ladies and gentlemen, I have no anecdotes to give you. I have no, I cannot paint a picture without material. I have no materials to paint in front of you about the situation that is the left tackle position in regards to, yes, the new Death Star of Myles Garrett. So I don't know who's going to play left tackle. It sure sounded like Andy Heck, the offensive line coach, Josh, didn't know who was starting at left tackle. And interestingly enough, I have not seen Joe Thuney at all this week, which leads one to wonder, Seth, has he been brushing up on his knowledge of a position he doesn't normally play?
I don't want to see Joe Thuney play left tackle against Myles Garrett. That said, I don't want to see Wanya Morris play left tackle against Myles Garrett. I certainly don't want to see Kingsley Suamataia play left tackle against Myles Garrett. And I mean, honestly, I wouldn't want to see DJ Humphries play left tackle against Myles Garrett. Is there any chance that before the game, Myles Garrett's just like, we're out of playoff contention. I'm tired. I mean, Myles, you and me, let's talk, buddy. It's a long season, man. You're not as young as you used to be.
By the way, couldn't get the fellas hyped in the defensive media room on Hard Knocks. Said play to make somebody in your family proud. That was his speech before they got dump trucked by the Pittsburgh Steelers last week.
And it's just, we're in December, Christmas is coming up. I just don't see why you need to keep doing this to yourself, Myles. I think the team would take their continued rebuilding effort much more seriously if you sent a message. Well, how would you send that message? by refusing to take the field against the Kansas City Chiefs. That would send a very strong message to ownership that they kind of blew this year. And by kind of, I mean, it's just been bad. You deserve better, Myles Garrett. And look, from a breakdown analyst standpoint, Myles Garrett is, and people want to talk about TJ Watt or Nick Bosa or whoever else, Myles Garrett, I almost said him again, Micah Parsons, whoever you might say you think is the best edge rusher in the NFL. When I watch Myles Garrett rush from the edge, he is the scariest rusher in the NFL. His combination of power and bend and speed and all of it, it's just freaky. It's scary. And his wins are so dominant that I just, now, like anyone else, you can do things to slow him down. And you're going to have to do that whether it's DJ Humphries out there, whether it's whoever. You're going to have to do that. The bummer about it being Joe Thuney is that means you also are going to have a backup who's been in the system for a long time. Shout out to you, Mike Caliendo. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have a downgrade at left tackle in pass pro, and it's not like the rest of that Cleveland defensive line is just a bunch of schmucks. They're good. And here's the thing with Thuney: if we were going to pick a matchup, so people would ask, well, if Joe Thuney was, why doesn't he play left tackle if he's got the capability to be high level there? Well, he's a really high level pass protector at guard. Why wouldn't he be a really high level pass protector at tackle? Well, there's this thing called length, ladies and gentlemen, and your arm length matters a lot on the edge. Now, some guys can get past it. There's certain things you can do, but when it comes to opponents, you really, really don't want to be facing with an arm length issue. If I were to name one, it's like, okay, who would it be scariest against having a left tackle out there with, 32-inch arms or 31-inch arms or whatever Joe Thuney's arm length is? It would be Myles Garrett, because he's also got length. He's got size, which means he gets hands on you first. And if he gets hands on you first, he walks you backwards. So it's scary. And I think we are going to see approximately 15 jet sweeps in Myles Garrett's direction. I think we're going to see, we haven't seen it since last year's San Francisco game, where they just what we're going to do? We are going to run the ball in weird ways right at that guy until he's exhausted. And only then, sir, will we drop back and pass.
Well, Kyle Coffey says that Joe Thuney's in the lab to get longer arms. That's why he's not in the locker room. That's why we haven't talked to him. So if he's capable of getting that new operating system to include longer arms, then sure. I mean, obviously the best pass blocking robot in the NFL should be able to hold up against Myles Garrett. Josh, are you in a position to tell people what Andy Heck said today in front of microphones, cameras, a live stream? What did Andy Heck say about, his offensive line days before Myles Garrett, after Patrick Mahomes has already taken 14 hits against the Los Angeles Chargers?
The only thing, we'll see if my mic audio levels have figured themselves out. I don't know. Maybe some weird things have been happening. The only thing that I did not directly transcribe was him flatly rejecting an idea that he would offer any answers as to who would actually start at left tackle on Sunday. I have full quotes on Wanya Morris, Kingsley Suamataia, and DJ Humphries. Did you want any of those?
Sure. Sure. Bring the audience into this mystery box of who will protect Patrick Mahomes' blind side.
Regarding Wanya Morris handling his benching and then being returned to action, Andy Heck said, I thought he handled that whole situation like a pro. From the moment we talked to him about what our plans were, what our intentions were, he approached it the right way, went out, and knows as a young player he's continuing to work, as we all are, to get better. I thought he did that. And then when he was called on, you've got to be ready. Things happen, and he was. He stepped in, and I thought he did a good job.
That's great.
I'm gonna let you guys discuss that while I see if I can fix any microphone thing. Don't even sweat it. You guys have got this figured out. If you get bored, start talking about Xavier Worthy.
There's something to be said for the ability to say a lot of words and not really say much or anything.
Yeah.
There are times where I think about my day job, and there are times during hearings where you have to make an argument that you know is not as strong as you'd like. Or you maybe are supposed to, maybe you've got some bad facts. Oh, hey, look, I got slid over the thing. I'm Josh Brisco, Pokemon, pop culture reference, great hair. My blood sugar doesn't take care of itself. Okay, sorry. None of that was okay. I just want everyone to know that none of that was okay.
I'm Seth Keysor, and I love my wife.
That's not nearly as scathing as what I did, but you're too nice, man. You're the nicest guy. So that really, Andy Heck, the only thing he said to sorry. I'm also Josh Brisco. Two of Seth Keysor's kids think I'm funnier than he is, and he's fine with it. Man, I'm still mad about that.
Totally
the fact that one of them is Isabel, that really eats away at me in a way that I am not okay with. But anyway, the only thing that Andy Heck said that I was like, was him being so upfront with, that will be Andy's decision. And
why am I here? Why am I here? You say I coach the offensive line? Well, that doesn't say head coach, and head coach makes lineup decisions without my discretion, without my consent, without any knowledge, insight of the position I coach.
Honestly, Andy Reid and I have never even been in the same room. We never talk about any of this. And so it's a mystery to me. I can't wait to see what he does.
Yep.
And that to me screams they don't love their options, which to me screams, well, and for one, DJ Humphries didn't practice today.
Yes, right. For the second day in a row, even though he did some light stretching on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's just, I mean, if you don't practice Thursday, you are not probably going to play. And again, Humphries wasn't a world beater on Sunday, but he is the Chiefs' best option. But it just is what it is. Here's the thing, though. The Chiefs have faced great edge rushers before. They faced Myles Garrett before, and he didn't take over that game either. He had I think he had at least one sack, had a couple of pressures, that sort of thing. But he doesn't. There's a difference between this is exactly how opponents have to think when they're game planning for Chris Jones. Your job is not to prevent Chris Jones from affecting any plays, because that's going to happen either way. Your job as an offense and as a coach is to prevent Chris Jones from affecting every play.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
You need your quarterback to not be getting pressured by the same dude on half his dropbacks. If you can do that, you can keep him at that 25% and make sure other guys aren't wrecking the other plays. You'll be okay. And that's where I really think this will be more of a schematic thing, given where they're at in terms of standings and everything like that. I think Andy's going to dust off an old playbook. I think he's going to dust off the Nick Bosa special. They didn't use it that much this year, but they've used it previously in terms of, we are going to jet sweep you to death, which means you can't explode out of your stance, because otherwise someone might run right by you. They're gonna throw screens over his head. Now that whole defense is really good, but it's really aggressive too. And so that's how I would. That's how I would handle things if I were them. You just understand you can't let this one guy take over the game. It's one thing that, okay, man, he killed one drive. Bummer. Don't let him kill 5 drives.
Because you're only going to get about 9 to 10 of them based on the way this team has played this season. To add to that, jet sweeps, screen passes, rollouts, play action. I mean, I guess spread them out, 5 wide, make a quick throw to Kelsey. Reverses, end arounds.
Yeah.
Goal line, jumbo package. I don't know. Like, I formation, something. But it's there are things to do to put yourself in position to where if it is Joe Thuney, he would be in this, he's been in the system the longest. So there is some belief that maybe he would could manage it for a game, right? Could manage it obviously for a half if necessary. It's not great that it's against Myles Garrett. It's not great that you're going to be that this is the first portion of a 3-game stretch in 11 days, because I think what the team has ultimately decided is that it's more valuable to have the potential of starting DJ Humphries against the Houston Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers if necessary, in back-to-back games 5 days apart, than to put him out there when he's not, when his hamstring is not fully recovered against the Cleveland Browns. Now, as I've written before in The Athletic, Wanya Morris was not supposed to take another significant snap all season, which definitely meant, you're going to play with 4 minutes left in a gotta-have-it drive to close out the game against the Chargers. And he did well in those limited snaps. He did well. I don't know if this is if all this information leads us to believe that maybe it will be Wanya Morris, if he can play the entire game and not be a complete liability, or if you mean guys, this is a great time to get Mike Caliendo some experience before the playoffs, if experience is required for the playoffs.
Yeah,
thank you. Mama.
Was that Brett Veach letting you know what's going on, or
no? I think my dog has vomited for some reason that I cannot control.
This is going to be quite a show. So here's the thing. So the goal is you don't let Myles Garrett take over the game. And the long and short of it, though, the Cleveland defense, for as hot as they started the season, they are not invincible. They are not, they're not impenetrable. The Steelers, of all teams, showed that they can get got with big plays. The one problem is that if there's one thing the Chiefs have not hit a ton of, are big plays. And so, now that's problematic. But one thing that's interesting to me is, again, they're just not hitting big plays. They've gotten a really efficient offense that hardly ever hits big plays. You think to yourself, what was the last big play they hit? It's 1 or 2 a game, if that. So, which brings me to Xavier Worthy, the Chiefs' big play guy. I will never, ever, ever stop pounding this drum. I will never quit screaming, but couldn't we just throw the ball down the field to him a few more times? Just like 3 times a game.
No, I've told you already. Here's another Justin Watson corner route. Here's another route where Kelsey does whatever he does. Hey, Pat, just go scramble for positive yards. What? You want more out of a rookie? Out of your first round pick? You want more? Come on.
And here's the beautiful thing, though, Nate, and I think you've been telling people, I'm going to switch back and forth. Thanks, Paul, in the comments. I'm going to switch back and forth between Xavier and Xavier. Because honest to God, I've heard it both ways. And if you call yourself X, people are going to call you Xavier. Like, it's X. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It'd be like if I was like, yeah, call me S. And then someone said, oh, hey, Seth. And I was like, it's actually F. That doesn't make any sense. That's insane. Anyway. Oh, God, please stop looking at the media pronunciation guide. We're so lost without Josh. I am only going to be able to hold this down. No, Paul, that was very funny. I appreciate you.
The way you say Tershawn Wharton's name is Wharton. Tershawn Wharton. Interestingly enough, Xavier Worthy is not on this pronunciation guide.
See, that's because they don't even know. They asked him. He was like, I'm not sure. I'm 21 years old. I don't know anything. Like, when was the last time you met a 21-year-old that knew anything? Even how to pronounce their own name. I can tell you it's been a while for me, including when I was 21. So I'm going to share some stats with you, Nathaniel.
Yes. Stab me down.
This is one of our favorite bits called Seth Reads the Internet.
Hell yeah.
Well, this is something I wrote here. So in Xavier Worthy's first 9 games, here are his averages for, hey, Mr. Brisco has returned.
I have no idea if it sounds better or not. I'm just glad you guys have gotten to Xavier Worthy.
Oh,
Thank
you sound as good as you look, and you look good.
Thank you. I feel like a hot garbage pile. I hate microphone issues, and this has apparently been plaguing me for at least the last 24 hours. And you'd think, Josh, how much important audio could you have recorded within the last 24 hours? And I would have a surprisingly unfortunate answer for you. With that being said, I can't wait to hear how Xavier Worthy's season's going.
So during the first 9 games of the season, Josh, and you should really rewatch the time where you were gone for a little bit because I got rotated into your name spot. Great. And so I was you for a little bit and I was really good at it.
And I was just talking about my wife.
Yeah, he just suddenly there was just name was filled with the desire to talk about his wife and how much he loves her. So Xavier Worthy's first 9-game average, targets per game, 4.8. Receptions per game, 2.2.
Sounds like an Andy Reid rookie to me.
Yards per game, 27.3. And this is the toughest part. Yards per target, 5.7. And a lot of that was carried by one 55-yard reception that he had against the Chargers. And this includes a stretch against, I believe it was Vegas and Tampa, where they kind of tried to see, hey, how does this look if we make him the guy? And it wasn't great. You know, he wasn't quite ready for that yet. That happens. The last 4 weeks, not 3 weeks, not 2 weeks, the last 4 weeks, targets per game, 6. Receptions per game, 4.5. Yards per game, 50.5. And yards per target, 8.4, almost 3 full yards higher per target. So, in other words, he's had increased volume. And with that increased volume has come increased efficiency, which is hard to do. Normally, increased volume leads to a decrease in efficiency. So what we've seen from Worthy, and I didn't bother to do this, like the exact math, because it's always a bummer when people do it that way. It's like, extrapolated over the course of an entire season. That said, extrapolated over the course of an entire season, Worthy would be on pace for about 900 yards. And, the commensurate, catches per game. Receptions per game, 4.5. You can do the math, be about 70, a little over 70. Those are wide receiver 2 numbers. That is where he's been at these last 4 games. And here's the good thing about it. The first 9 weeks, he had 2 games where he went over 40 yards. And one of them, he needed a 55-yard reception to do it. Last 4 weeks, every single week. He's become consistently a part of the offense. And that might sound like a backhanded compliment. It's not. They are asking him to run some quick outs. They're asking him to run some digs down the field. They're asking him to run some longer outs outside. They're asking him to run some comebacks. They're asking him to run routes with multiple moves. And they're calling his name on 3rd and long. And he's answering the call. And I think the most obvious example that people would think of, last drive of the game, Mahomes needs a miracle. And Worthy runs a great route, makes what I assume to be a sight adjustment. I'm guessing they dialed it up, that he's either stretching the field out or, depending on what the safety does there, he comes back. And he doesn't just come back, he comes back all the way. He doesn't just stop at the 40-yard line and wait for the ball. He attacks back towards Mahomes, which was the difference between a contested and a non-contested catch, which is a good thing because he bobbled it a little bit. So had that been contested, that's a problem. And we're seeing we're seeing him being given larger amounts of responsibilities, and commensurate with it, his production's going up. And all this improvement without one significant deep ball. He had like one 30-yard gain against the Bills. But other than that, this is just him being your regular part of the offense, running the drags, running these crossers, running all the things Andy Reid wants from his wide receiver 2. It's really good to see. And it's coming in the nick of time. I also think, no, I'm just kidding. Oh no. Now Josh's volume is out completely, and there is a chance
No,
that
that was an accident. I just had double muted myself. No, I don't know how far you had gotten through all of this, and your analysis was so good that it left me speechless.
I believe you.
So is there a next step here for this particular flower to blossom even more so, or what we've seen from Worthy these last couple of weeks, is that what it's going to be for the next 4 and throughout the playoffs, or do you have maybe more explosive hopes?
Man, you're so good at this. You were gone for a few minutes, and it is like the North Star has returned to shine its light and guide our ship to parts
I don't want to
unknown.
be too overconfident that any of my technology is working the way that I want it to be.
That's a fair point. Yeah,
I feel like you're
your house
testing
is gonna
God
start shaking.
or me or somebody.
Poltergeist situation. Who knows? Yeah. So here's the thing with Worthy. With what they're having him currently do, he's separating. He's separating against man. He's separating against zone. And he's not just separating deep. He's separating intermediate and some of the shallow stuff they have him do. One of my favorite plays of the last couple weeks, which is, it's so ridiculous. It came against the Raiders. He is just standing next to the sideline. That's his route. I am standing here. I'm not moving off the line of scrimmage. I am standing here in case Mahomes wants to check down to me. Oh, he threw me the ball on what would be for most receivers like a 3 or 4 yard gain. Oh, this corner doesn't realize I can make it to the edge. I can make it to the boundary. And he just outruns him for about a 12-yard gain, where most other receivers without his kind of speed get 3 or 4 yards. Those are the things he can do, and just getting him involved in that aspect of the offense, it's a huge deal. Now we just need more. You got to pump up those numbers because he is getting open, and he's getting open in the ways that are active contributions to this particular offense. The only thing, which you alluded to, now that he's winning shallow and intermediate, that's the next phase. Let's give my guys some double moves, please. We'll give 78-year-old DeAndre Hopkins a double move. DeAndre, that's not fair. You've been terrific in Kansas City. And I'm much older than you. So none of that worked out for me. But you'll give DeAndre Hopkins double moves. Give Worthy some double moves. Guys are respecting him. They're playing way off him, but they're only going to be willing to get beat for, a 15-yard comeback so many times before they're going to start creeping up. And that's when the shot plays have to happen. That's the last.
Didn't I see some people for the Denver Broncos, not nearly as fast as Xavier Worthy just a few weeks ago, get behind the Cleveland Browns secondary? Do I remember that correctly?
You remember that correctly. And people that are going to say stuff about protection, there are lots of deep shots that are designed to come out within 2.5 seconds.
Can you give an example or two of those? Because I think that's a great that you have correctly predicted the first counterpoint.
Yep.
What stylistically could be done there to continue to push for those explosive plays? Because actually, you know what? I'll give you a whole reset here, because this has been something that I have seen numerous Chiefs fans beginning to lose hope on the idea of there needing to be another gear in this offense, which I just I think fundamentally disagree with. Or at least it's worth noting the reason that all these drives are both so long and so volatile is because of how many plays there are. We talked about this on Tuesday, I think. Yes. But I understand also nobody wants Patrick Mahomes to get broken in half in the pocket trying to wait for Xavier Worthy to open up. It's his third read deep downfield. So what we've talked about play action more, we've talked about under center more. What would you have the Chiefs do to keep the explosives in the playbook without it being, at the risk of Patrick Mahomes' mortal life?
Sure. There's a few different ways you can do it. And one of the ways that they often dial up some of their design shot plays would be a play action with a rolling pocket. So Myles Garrett lines up on the left side of the offense. Man, I'm play actioning Isaiah Pacheco to that side, and he just so happens going to stay in and block too. And I'm rolling the other direction, and we're sliding some protections. And now I'm looking downfield to see where he goes. That's one way where you go over the top with their design shot plays. They've done that for years. The other thing, I want fans to think back to week 2 against the Bengals. Rashee Rice had a 40+ yard touchdown, which man, he was gonna do so much damage this year. that ball did not take that long to come out. The reason for that was anytime you've got single high or some iteration of cover 3 where there may be, so like when the Legion of Boom became really, made cover 3 like the thing, they would bring their defenders up close to the line of scrimmage, but still have them bail out deep because they had corners who could get away with it and who were allowed to beat the crap out of guys. And you had Earl Thomas, who covered a lot of distance before he changed a little bit in terms of how he dealt with things. So when you get cover 3, when you get single high and it looks like a man look, that shot play, that ball can come out in 2 seconds. I want you to think 1,000, 1,000. Now the ball's out to a spot. And while the ball is in the air, that's for another 1,000, 1,000, 1,000 seconds. How far do you think Xavier Worthy can run in 5 seconds? Because I know for a fact he can run 40 yards in 4.21 seconds. So there are options here to go down the field. You just need to start taking advantage of those coverages because you see teams playing single high. I was there. I watched the Raiders do it repeatedly. And I was like, man, can you audible into a shot play and see what happens? Throw it 50 yards down the field and let him catch up to it. And maybe you miss it. Maybe you do. But all it takes is hitting one of those. And so those are generally the 2 best ways to do it. You got play action, you've got rolling pockets and moving Mahomes around, and you've got doing it within the coverage confines that allow you to take the shot and release the ball within 2.5 seconds.
Within the coverage of a loving marriage. Let's do this. Let's take a break, come back, and talk about a completely other aspect of the Chiefs' offense that Nate would like to see them lean into specifically this week against the Browns.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
Yes, Seth, all that air raid nonsense, all that spread, all that pushing the ball downfield, all that quick. You know what? Throwing the football, it's just not for guys like me and Nate. We're about pounding the rock, grinding that defense down, and winning the time of possession battle. Nate, you can decide which of those things were in any way intellectually honest, but where's your head at in terms of a way they could protect Patrick Mahomes, specifically noting, again, that I don't even know if I've said this out right yet, DJ Humphries has not practiced this week, and Myles Garrett does play for the other football team. What are you looking at for the Browns, against the Browns for the Chiefs offense?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Josh. I just want to say, all this time that I've been in Tuscaloosa, I was told a certain style of football was going to be played when the weather got cold. Is the weather cold, Josh?
It's a little chilly out. It's not quite Minnesota cold, but it's a little chilly.
Weather's supposed to be cold in Cleveland. And it just so happens that, I was told that Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco will be a nice 1-2 when it came to cold weather playoff football time. And we sitting here talking about left tackle pass protection. For who?
Actually want to, let's see if I can go
for
ahead.
what? Okay. Look here. I see what Nate Dogg's doing in the comments, and I was just about to get to that myself. Now, you can always bring Mike Caliendo onto the field because that'll give you 6 linemen. Okay. Now Myles Garrett got to go through 2 guys and try to tackle the ball carrier. Hell, that could be Xavier Worthy too. Okay, put him in the backfield. I don't care. What I'm trying to see is number 15 play the most important game of the season, and that is in just January, like mid-January. Okay, I'm trying to get to New Orleans. All right, I've already booked my hotel.
It's pronounced Nolans.
Nolans already told Aunt Shirley, bring her best gumbo. Okay, I can't get to Nolans without running the football. And they done told me this young boy, I'm sorry, he was a 2-star recruit, a walk-on, Carson Steele, they tell me.
Thank you. I've been waiting for you to mention the most important position in football, quarterback. Quarterback's only 25% of the way back of a fullback, the most important position in football.
Right.
Get Carson Steele on that field. Lay that steal.
You know what?
You know what you can't do? You know what you can't do? You can't stop the steal.
You can't. And look, I heard he's even got an alligator. Okay, now, just stick with me. Okay,
Swamp.
Just stick with me. Okay, I know we live in a pass happy world. I know everybody plays fantasy sports. You know, even I've gambled a time or two.
12 running backs.
I've gambled a time or two. Okay, I understand what DraftKings is trying to do to my money. All right, but I've already reserved it for Nolan's. And what I appreciate down here in Tuscaloosa land is getting 6 linemen on the field and mitigating some pass rusher that gets all the clips, all the love, because these genius coaches want to throw the ball 45 times. Okay, what I want to see Myles Garrett do is get in the trenches, see if he's ready to go to the salt mines. I think there's a young man by the name of just give me 1 second now, I'm on the phone. But Trey Smith has been to the Appalachians and back. He's found diamonds in the rough. Okay, he's been to the mines. All right, I want to see Myles Garrett going to the mines. Okay, salt mines. Now
I'm going to eject from the bit before we challenge Myles Garrett physically, because I don't want to be involved in the bit for that portion of it. Because I do think Myles Garrett would be okay in the mines. I think Myles Garrett could literally mine ore with his bare hands.
That is a great line. I think Myles Garrett would be just fine in the mines. Like, I think he would do okay.
It's kind of why I said it, because as I was saying it, I was like, that sounds great.
You know what he's not? He's not a miner. Tershawn Wharton. Hello. Myles Garrett won't be the best in the mines, on the field, on the defensive line on Sunday. How about that?
Run the ball. Run it. Run it again.
The Chiefs remain, I believe, in terms of successful runs.
You're goddamn right, Mr. Keysor.
They remain the most efficient rushing team in the league while never breaking a run longer than like 15 yards, except Isaiah Pacheco did it once.
What? Yep.
Thank you, Isaiah.
One time.
And it is interesting seeing Isaiah Pacheco come back and watching him versus Kareem Hunt. Here's what I would say. If you gave Kareem Hunt Isaiah Pacheco's burst, or if you gave Isaiah Pacheco Kareem Hunt's vision, boy, howdy, would that just be ducky. And they're both solid running backs, but that's what prevents either of them from really ascending into like back in the day in 2018, Hunt had the same level of explosion, and that's why he was a star. So there's a give and take with either guy you've got on the field, but with either guy, you really could try and see how it goes to pound a team into dust. They haven't really gone that route since Pacheco came back, which is baffling. That is weird to me because they had no problem doing it when it was just Kareem Hunt, who was clearly trying to prove something. And even then, like 25 carries in, you'd see him get up just like, oh, Lord have mercy. Like, what? Is this a punishment? Like, okay, yes, I looked Clark Hunt in the eye years ago and I lied to him. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. What do you want from me? They're running it again?
Can I just tell you the quote that this man had that he said yesterday, which I felt was hilarious. Of course, we asked Kareem Hunt, hey, you're going back to Cleveland. Obviously, that's where you're from. Yes, big revenge game, yada, yada. Hey, man, how you feel about taking all these carries, dog? And so within that, of course, is the 3 games in the 11-day stretch. Obviously starts on Sunday. And he said, I felt like we just did that, honestly.
Well, I'm sure they had their bye 2 months ago.
Right. So and then again, we had to remind Kareem, hey man, that was 3 games in like 15 days. Here comes 3 and 11. And so he continues. This is his quote that he continues, which I find to be hilarious. Quote, you got to take care of your body. Just focus on everything more during the week. If you get a massage usually 2 times a week, now you got to get it every day. End quote. Look, man.
Can't argue with that logic.
This is just the reality. Get in that cold tub, ice and ibuprofen, baby. Because They need to run the ball literally 30 times on Sunday. I do not care what the score is. We all know these are usually close games anyway. Also, ladies and gentlemen, Browns are playing for jobs. Can my agent send me a clip of me doing something well against the two-time defending champions?
And that's every week, man. It's
That's
every week.
That's half the game plan, kids. Can I give my agent something to run with against the two-time defending champion Chiefs? So the game's probably going to be close, but you should still run the ball so that Patrick Mahomes doesn't take 15 more hits after he took 14 against the Chargers.
Give him some mental rest, because handing the ball off is a lot easier. And I would genuinely not be bothered with them opening up with a lot of 12 personnel type stuff. It would not bother me one bit to see them. Yep, we are going to run the ball. We're going to have a drive. Opening script is we're going to run the ball with every type of run concept we have. We're going to run it 4 or 5 times, and if we're successful, we get a first down. Then we're going to swap out Isaiah or Kareem, whoever. We're going to send in the other guy, and that defense is going to be tired. Like, you could do this, because I think Kareem Hunt runs really physical. Isaiah Pacheco runs really physical. If I were looking for some kind of psychological advantage, honestly, if I was going to come out really pounding the rock, I would start with Kareem, let them get tired, and then bring in the human energizer bunny, who has to be deeply annoying to play when you're tired. Like, that's got to be something. And so I would definitely go that route if I were the Chiefs. Maybe the Browns are expecting it, and so it doesn't go real well. Well, now you know. But you also kept your quarterback from getting killed for a drive or two. And now, okay, let's figure out some short throws, that kind of stuff. It's not like Andy has any shortage of short passes in the Rolodex.
Let's flip the field then, because honestly, I'll just be honest with everybody as to why my brain got to this point, and then we can celebrate in the fact that we don't have to follow this any further. You mentioned Kareem Hunt talking about needing to get all these massages ahead of the Browns game, and I had the thought of, man, it's really nice that we're talking about Jameis Winston and not Deshaun Watson, because Deshaun Watson would have been bad to talk about on every level, and Jameis Winston is just going to give us something. We know that definitively. Will it be good for the Chiefs or bad for the Chiefs? I don't know. It doesn't matter in this case. Yes, correct, right. And actually, it will be both. He will do something mind-bendingly infuriating and bizarre and ridiculous, and then when the football lands, we'll find out if it was good or bad or not. But there's going to be no shortage of that, and the whole vibes on that team completely changed when Jameis got that job, which wasn't immediately. But he has become the platonic ideal of Jameis Winston the rest of this season in Cleveland. It's a lost season. He was their second quarterback, and again, they wanted DTR in there at some point too. Like, it's all been bizarre, and that organization is in a bizarre place, but the Chiefs have a legitimate test against them right now with Jameis, with an offense that has had some brilliant moments and also will have some hilarious ones. But also, Spags got asked about this today. The Chiefs have not forced turnovers at a very high clip this year, and Jameis will provideth. So where are we looking right now? Jameis historically does provideth. The question, I suppose, is will the Chiefs be willing to accept those gifts, or will he make those mistakes here now? What jumps out to you guys? I mean, obviously, we got Nick Chubb back in the mix, Jameis calling the shots, a rejuvenated, revitalized Jerry Jeudy,
Rejudivized.
There's something in there.
Yeah, rejuvenated.
If people don't realize, I just looked this up, Seth. Just looked it up. Yes, J-Lo, Jameis, they play YOLO ball. Okay, YOLO. One life to live. Whether it's Jennifer Lopez or Jameis Winston, YOLO life. I love it. So I just looked this up. Everybody's played before tonight's game. Everybody's played 13 weeks. We finally have reached yet again true equality in statistical data analysis of the NFL season. No more bye weeks, kids. This is legit now. Everybody's played 13 games. We got real substantive data. The Chiefs have forced 10 turnovers this season. 10. 10.
It's just not what they do.
10.
It's been the same way in Spags defense year after year after year. They do not force very many turnovers. I was looking into this. Someone had tweeted about it.
It's tied for the second fewest in the league, along with the Giants, the Jets, and then at the bottom of the list is the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Las Vegas Raiders, each having 8 takeaways. The Chiefs have 10. They are the only playoff contending team right now with so few turnovers alongside them and the Baltimore Ravens with 11. Everybody else is in the plus range when it comes to turnover margin.
And that, I think it was, I want to say it was, you know what? I'm going to get it wrong, so I don't want to get it wrong. But I know that this was shared recently that for Super Bowl winners, all 3 of the years that the Chiefs have won the Super Bowl, they have been one of the lowest in history, maybe even the lowest one of the years, in forcing turnovers in a Super Bowl winning season. And here's what's interesting. That lack of forcing turnovers is one of the reasons why the Chiefs offense could be actually pretty decent by things like per drive measures or, expected points added per play, that sort of stuff. While still, Scott Casmar, thank you, Pass Lou in the comments. That he tweeted about this and noted they are an anomaly. And he basically pointed out it's every year with Spags. So this isn't like an accident. Their corners are not trained to be ball hawks. They care more about, are you in his pocket? Are you in the right spot? I mean, Trent McDuffie, the only part of his game that is average to sub-average is ball skills. Everything else about him is incredibly high level. And ball skills, that's where they do not thrive. And because of that, they get fewer drives. And because of that, you get fewer opportunities. And when you turn the ball over, it's a little big of a bigger deal because you're probably not going to cause one on your own. But, 13 games and 10 turnovers, there's a reason why it doesn't feel like the Chiefs get turnovers most games because most games they don't. Well, not most games they don't. I don't know, maybe they had 2 and 1 or whatever, but they just genuinely do not get turnovers as much as other people. That's a big deal. Jameis, you never know. It wouldn't shock me if Jameis threw for 500 yards on the Chiefs because what he does, the YOLO ball down the field, the Chiefs have not been particularly great at defending that. That's one reason the Steven Nelson signing, he had pretty decent ball skills here in Kansas City. I believe that continued in Houston, even though he's a smaller corner. And so that's great. Josh Williams has good ball skills. Everyone else, you're like, just chuck it down the field. You are better off just chucking a go route blindly in Trent McDuffie's direction than throwing basically anything else. Because anything else, he's going to be like standing in the way because he's so good. And so we'll kind of see, but it wouldn't surprise me if he threw some really dumb picks because he does do that. But it also would not shock me if he threw for a ton of yards. It's one reason I don't love the Steelers matchup with the Chiefs. The thing they've struggled with are these YOLO balls down the field that you're like, man, I can't believe that was completed. But it's happened just enough, and that's the reason they talked about it. You got to eliminate big plays. The Browns are feast and famine on offense. They live for the big plays.
It's insane that I had to think and then double check to make sure that, to that point, Seth, this is kind of an interesting precursor to that Steelers matchup for the offense versus the Chiefs defense. And I briefly thought man, kind of interesting to have those in back-to-back week. No. They're not in back-to-back weeks. They are 10 days apart, but they are not consecutive games because they have to play the Texans next Saturday. Anyway, with that being said, anything else in terms of that side of the matchup where we can kind of go to some general expanding on where the Chiefs and Browns stand right now? I am nervous about that exact thing, Seth. And again, it's a reason that we should be wary of what's going to happen on Christmas. You also have one dominant defender in both of those matchups, although the Steelers' overall defense has a lot more going for it as well. But in terms of the guy that you key in on, both teams have that.
Yep.
I haven't figured out how to feel about this game yet. It's Thursday. It's about 5:30, and I am still trying to figure out where exactly I'm going to fall on this weird Chiefs team and this weird but not as promising Browns team.
17-16. Chiefs.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, dang it. This would be this would be the week that it becomes weird in a different way, and like the final score is 63-62
Yeah.
or something like just insane,
I
where
like
you're
that
just like,
version.
wait, what? How? You know, the Chiefs get 4 turnovers, but they also turn the ball over 6 times. Like just enough for us to, when everyone's like, how do you feel about them? And I'm like, I don't know.
This isn't a gambling show, real quick. We don't do a whole lot of line talk. But I'm sorry, it opened at 6.5. It's now down to 4.5. I was gonna say, does 6.5 not seem certifiable to you?
Who here is betting Chiefs 6.5 at this point?
I don't know who's betting 4.5. It's on the road in Cleveland, and all they do is win games by 2 or 3 points.
Yeah, and they probably will. I will say one thing I'm going to be keeping an eye on.
They haven't won a game by more than 3 points since the Tampa Bay game. That was November 4th.
In overtime, when they had to score.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
When they had to score touchdown to end the game, to effectively not give the ball back to the Buccaneers. Yes.
The last time the Chiefs won a football game by more than 3 points in regulation was October 20th.
Against the Raiders?
Niners.
Guess what? Three interceptions from Brock Purdy.
No, I'm sorry. It was 7 against the Raiders. I skipped right over that. So Nate was right and my date was wrong. Since October 27th, still pre-Halloween, which was what I was looking for there.
Yeah.
So the thing that I'll be looking at in terms of the matchup itself, I want to see the pass rush take steps forward. They had a couple of decent moments against the Chargers, but
I'd like to see Josh Uche take steps on the field.
I've sort of given up hope on that.
I don't think that's happening, Josh.
Damn it!
It just is like I don't understand why.
Do you realize we've not even asked questions anymore about Josh Uche, Josh?
Well, and now
we didn't even as a collective reporting group didn't request Joe Cullen, because why would we ask about Josh Uche? It's just
we could ask why they're giving edge snaps to Leo, who everyone's wanted to do that for years. And you know what he does when he's on the edge as an actual edge rusher? He pushes really hard, and he's very strong. You know what he doesn't have? Pass rush moves. And why would he? He's a linebacker. And that's where I don't understand, because I saw him on the edge multiple times on pass rush downs, and I remember watching one of those. I was like, it's 3rd down. What are we doing here? And that's, maybe they want to see what Leo can do with it. Maybe they're still just kind of tinkering around. It drives me nuts. But I want to see more from the pass rush. I think a pass rush built around Chris Jones, Charles Omenihu, and George Karlaftis can do some
Josh Uche?
I've given up on it. I've given up on it completely. I liked his film in San Francisco. I liked his film in New England. I liked it as on obvious passing downs. I was like, yeah, you can get after the passer a little bit. Not elite, but a higher level guy in that specific role. And the Chiefs have collectively said no.
Who on this roster would you say was the most likely to convert a strip sack on 3rd and 9? Is
before
Uche
Omenihu
top 3? Top 2?
Before Omenihu returned, he would have been top 2 based on his film this year. Because people can also say, oh, he must not be able to play, or the Chiefs would put him on the field. We have his film from this year. I charted it. I charted it. He won one-on-one at a higher rate than the guys they currently are marching out there at edge, other than maybe Omenihu, who is honestly his best rushing from the interior. Let Omenihu and Jones rush from the interior on obvious pass rushing downs, because they're both real good at it, and they create problems. And so there's still a spot there. It's like, oh, but we got to have Mike Dana out there. No, you don't. You really don't. And I like Mike Dana. I'm glad he's a Chief. But the film is worse on obvious pass rushing downs.
Say his name, Josh. Say it.
You want the Cam Thomas revenge game? Since we're not going to get the Kadarius Toney revenge game, you think Cam Thomas is going to knock Patrick Mahomes' block off?
No, say his name. Say the one defensive lineman we haven't said yet.
Oh, why would we mention former 1st-round draft pick Felix Uzama? Someone who has literally not been mentioned in a conversation about edge rushers. I forgot. I went to Cam Thomas first.
Past loser response about me talking about Uche's film from earlier this year with the Patriots. Well, okay, he played this year, but that was this year ago. It's like, God, that's funny. And yeah,
hey,
no,
I'm gonna let
we gotta
Seth
crush
finish
pockets. Then Why did you trade for an edge rusher?
I'm going to let Seth finish his point after I close the spot track tab that gives Mike Dana an $8 million cap hit next year.
And the contract they gave him, they could have given it elsewhere. Dana hasn't been quite as good this year as he's been in previous years. That's a bummer.
He's been hurt. He's
had like 3 injuries.
Yes,
like
he's
he
been
could be
hurt.
better next year. But
Yes.
you know what I would consider, Nate? Give him
For
a
the
break.
time being. Yeah,
Give
for
him,
the
maybe give
time
him a break.
being.
Maybe let
You
him
know
get
what
healthy
might help?
and let Joshua Uche play and go ahead and let Mike Dana be a semi-healthy scratch. It's okay. You do it to
Busy.
Kingsley every week now.
Just think about this, guys. They traded for Joshua Uche, and they were like, it's going to take time for him to learn the system. And you're like, yeah, we get it. Hey, DJ, are your legs warm? Get out there.
Can you
Hey.
feel from your
Hey.
hamstrings down? Great.
When Patrick says the snap to the play call to everybody else, you kind of listen, but then just be like, all right, 5-step drop. All right, cool. We're running
That
left to
was
right.
incredibly funny, by the way, watching Mahomes talk to Humphreys a little bit separately after multiple snaps, because you would see them and Mahomes okayed that because he expected it every time, because he's like saying how many steps. And you know what, considering the circumstances, he had a couple of really tough reps where we're
You don't think
knew the cadence.
You don't think Josh Uche could go to Nick Bolton and be like, rush the quarterback?
Yeah. So what, you want me to pass rush against this tackle? Sure.
Speed rush?
Hey, guys.
Right?
So you know how Cam Thomas was on the Chiefs in some
Yes.
form or fashion for like 12 weeks, I think, maybe?
It's more like
I have
10,
no
but
evidence
yeah.
that
10 or
that's true,
11.
but sure.
Yeah, 10.
He's appeared in 2 games for the Browns, and he has played more snaps for the Cleveland Browns this year than he played with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Sounds about right.
21-6. I guess
Yeah,
not
you
including special teams. Special
you
teams
know-
makes it close.
Do you know? I saw his silhouette during Hard Knocks and last night, and I was just like, why does he look familiar? That's not Ben Neiman. No, that's Cameron Thomas.
And that's
Cameron.
there's a disconnect there that was really unfortunate. So we'll see. We'll see whether he eventually gets a shot here. I have my doubts. We know Spags likes to crush the pocket. That's why a lot of the choices they make at edge look the same. And it's frustrating.
Hey,
Keandre Coburn's played in 11 games for the Titans this year. Good for him.
Hey, Chris, what's the play again? I rush passer, rush quarterback. Oh, okay. All right, I'll rush the quarterback. Cool.
Well, he's got to be ready to drop into zone. All right, let's get your predictions here, everybody. Nate's already given us a 1-point game. I'm gonna say, you know what, Seth? Why don't you go first? I really should have predicted a doink last week, so I'm gonna see if there's anything I can do here. I am so upset that Kadarius Toney got cut this week, because Kadarius Toney winning a football game for the Chiefs in 2024 still could have happened.
Yep.
That would have been.
We very easily could have gotten like a punt. Maybe it's a missed game-winning field goal from Matthew Wright, who apparently can't kick a touchback, according to Dave Tobe today. So, like, Matthew Wright kicks like a 60-yard prayer, and it falls well short, and Kadarius Toney fields it with no time remaining and muffs it right back to the Chiefs, who recover and score a touchdown. I don't even know if the rules would allow for that or not. That's what I would have predicted. Seth, what's your score, and what little-known part of the rule book helps the Chiefs win this one?
The Chiefs win 26-25. Don't ask me how they get there. I don't know. Something weird. Whatever you think would be a normal way to get to 26 and 25 points. And yes, I chose those for a reason, because those are weird point amounts. You're like, Seth, that seems weird. It's either that or 15-16. How are they going to get there? I don't know. But I'll tell you one thing. It won't be 5 field goals, because that would be really normal. Chiefs are going to win, and it's going to be really frustrating during. And then afterwards, we're all going to cackle together at a 13-1 team. I would argue that this, in the 3-game stretch they're about to go through, this is the one you really, really, really want, because it's the most amount of rest you're going to have. The Christmas, what you really want, you want these next 2, because you're going to maybe play the Steelers in the playoffs, and you want to make it to where that game matters, but not that much. And with where the Steelers are at right now, if the Chiefs win their next 2 games, even if the Steelers win their next 2 games, that game matters to the Chiefs, but not that much. and then you get your mini bye. That's not such a mini bye because it's not a Thursday game. It's a Wednesday game because we love football so much. We do. Give me that football. You're saying that's really hard
On
give me that
Jesus'
football.
birthday, Seth, I thought better of you.
I read somewhere that some hippies or commies were saying that he might have been born in April or September, so it's gonna be fine. Bunch of hippies and commies, which is a weird combination.
I just saved several groups from jokes, including you. I'm gonna say here it is. Here it is. You know what we're gonna see on Sunday that we've never seen before?
Trent McDuffie pick 6.
Trent McDuffie first career interception. I'm not even taking it to the house. I don't even need it to go to the house. Trent McDuffie is going to catch a pass that counts in an NFL game. Maybe he does it on offense. I don't know. We'll see if he gets some reps at slot. And I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 20-19 with 2 Kareem Hunt touchdowns. So with that being said, I can't imagine there's anything else that we realistically need to talk about here. I think the Cam Thomas sack of Patrick Mahomes as he runs. Oh, you know what? One more prediction. Who starts at left tackle? Seth.
Joe Thuney.
I'm saying Joe Thuney. Nate?
You got to see what you got in Joe Thuney.
Get us out of here, baby. That's your final. We're all on that Joe Thuney train. Give me the Terminator versus Predator. Actually, like that kind of works.
Yeah, I think at this point with Wanye Morris, having seen Kingsley Suamataia, resting DJ Humphries literally for the Houston Texans, it's probably time to see the world's greatest pass blocking robot put in a new
stress test.
Yep, a new data point for us. The other thing too, lastly here, Tucker, look at me, okay? I understand that we're going to Cleveland, right? I understand that this game is of immense importance to potentially the 1 seed. We could have played this game at any time in October, November. Hell, I'd even give you late September. Why are we playing this game now? No one asked for this, okay? No one asked to go to Cleveland in December. And it ain't even gonna snow. Why?
I don't think anyone's ever asked to go to Cleveland in December.